Hey, family, the racer is here. Please like, comment, and subscribe. We keep it honest over here. All right, family, today we're going to talk about the real truth and consequences in these WNBA CBA negotiations. Now, the WNBA and the Players Union, they met for a few hours on Monday in New York, right? It's their first real meeting in weeks. They're trying to go ahead and get these talks moving, right? But here's a key detail that everybody fails to mention. According to AP reporter Doug Feinberg, sources close to the situation say the league has been requesting this meeting for weeks. Not one, not two, but for weeks. That means it's more than 2 weeks they've been requesting it. And when did they reject that offer, the counter proposal? That must have been what? They said that was about a month ago. They wanted to actually meet with these guys so they could talk about their proposal, right? And that matters because it suggests that the WNBA has been trying to reopen talks, while the Players Association has been the one that's been slow to respond. It's been them the whole time. That raises some really serious questions about transparency. Okay, so let's look at this. Let's add some context. The meeting only lasted for a couple of hours, right? Breanna Stewart, no show. Nafisa Collier, she wasn't there. Kelsey Plum, she didn't show up either. It's kind of surprised at you, Kelsey. Said you wanted to be there. Thought you were a little smarter than that. Yet these are the same people talking to the media every week. So I'm not surprised that nothing got done, right? You got Nika Agumake. She told Front Office Sports they didn't have a proposal prepared at the top of the meeting. Family, they didn't have a proposal prepared at the top of the meeting. Say that 5 times real quick. Proposal prepared, said. Anyway, I mean, you walk into the biggest negotiations of your career. This is the biggest one with no proposal. That tells me everything I need to know. That's not preparation, that's posturing. And let's be real about this whole thing in terms of the tone of the meeting, because she did mention it. That set the tone, right? Let's talk about the tone of the meeting, right? The tone of the meeting in New York, it wasn't set there. It was set in Philly. After that unrivaled game with 21,000 people, that record-breaking game, a record for an unrivaled, by the way, right? It wasn't a record, but it was a record for them. So, you had Natasha Cloud. She back home feeling herself. She looked directly into the camera. We will not effing move until y'all move. Pay the people that make y'all sugar, honey, iced tea go. That wasn't negotiation language. That was confrontation. That was a threat. So when players walk into a meeting days after that, ownership already knows what time it is. These people aren't here to compromise. They're here to dig in. Now, to be fair, the owners did not respond in writing to their last proposal, but they have been trying to meet with them for weeks, right? That was only a month ago, or a little more than a month ago, just before Christmas, right? And the owners have been trying to meet with them for weeks, and they only met Monday. And the reason why the owners did not respond to the players' proposal because it was the same numbers, same demands, same ultimatum. And so let's call it what it is. That's not good faith bargaining. It's not. Every time ownership moves, the union sends back the same paper, right? That's not flexibility. There's no middle ground there. That's not negotiating. It's a pissing contest. Can I say pissing? All right, family. So let's talk about the money, okay? Because feelings don't pay bills. The WNBA last reported offer was a $1 million max, 230,000 minimum salary, 550,000 average salary, with a 70% net revenue share. Not bad. If I go from 121,000, 120,000 average salary, because that's what the average salary is in the W right now under the status quo. Now I go to 550,000, and I sign me a little 2, 3. I probably want to sign me a 3, 4 year deal, right? So I can get to that $2 million mark. Man, that take care of me. That take care of mortgages, college funds. My debt is gone. I'm good. I could go get me some Louis luggage. I could go get me a Louis suit. Wear me a Louis hat. I could, right? But the ladies call this a slap in the face. And come on now. Let's be serious. For real. I said this before and I say it again. The players have already won. This is a historic offer. Is it perfect? I mean, no. Do they still want free housing, $10.5 million salary cap, 30% gross revenue? Yes, they still want that. But unless the ladies close the gap, nothing is moving. Ownership has made it clear. Those demands mean massive losses, and they're not going to sign on to that, period. And that's what the owners told them in that meeting. We're not budging. So the only thing they did was really discuss, how they felt. They were discussing feelings in that meeting. Well, I think the owners are probably more on the business tip, and the players are more on the feeling tip, right? It was ideology versus reality, realism. So let's do a quick little translation real quick, because when the owners came out, Kathy Engelberg said that, the meeting was helpful, right? They didn't get anything done. I mean, as far as having paperwork signed to get the league going, but they did find that meeting very helpful. And that's corporate language. You know what that means? That means that they know exactly who they're dealing with. No new proposal, main leaders absent, and they're not being flexible. They're not. And Sue Bird was there as an owner, not as a player. She was just one of them a few years ago. Now she's on the ownership side. So I'm sure she felt like if she went there, they seen a friendly face, somebody that they know, someone that they've been on her podcast and spoke to her, and our partner, the soccer player, I forget her name, great soccer player though, one of the all-time greats, right? Too bad they can't have a baby together. That would be interesting, right? Anyway, I delete that. If they're not going to listen to Sue Bird, they're not going to listen to anybody, right? You might as well talk to a brick wall, right? So the nuclear clock is ticking, right? If this deal does not get done soon, strike or lockout, once that happens, everybody loses. There are no winners, right? Just damage, right? But let's talk about this, right? And this is how I think it went down. So you had the first offer, right, for about 500,000 max, right? That was the slap in the face, right? Then he had the second offer, 800,000 max. Still not enough, right? And then the WNBA, they send back the same paper with their demands, right? Then ownership, they send a third offer. After they talked to Adam Silver, they talked to the owners, they crunched the numbers, said I think we can work with this. They should be good with this, right? $1 million max, up to $2 million over the life of the deal. By the time you get to the end of the deal, max players will be making $2 million. Average salary $770,000. You're undervaluing us. Meanwhile, let's take a look at your alternatives, ladies. Let's take a look at these alternatives you have. You can play on Rival, right? That's $220,000. You can play overseas. You're making what, about 50, 60, 70, 80,000 maybe. a couple of 100,000 if you're lucky, right? If you that, right? If you're not that, then if you're playing overseas, you're probably making about 50, 60,000 if you're lucky, right? Lucky to play over there. They got they players that they like. You know what I mean? That's not it ain't like all of y'all gonna be able to go over there and play. Then you got athletes unlimited, right? 40 to 50,000. You can take all these salaries, 220,000, overseas 50,000. Let's add that up. That's 270,000. And then if you can slide in and play athletes unlimited, which you can't because what? It's at the same time. But let's say if you can put athletes unlimited in that. Another 50,000. So that's 50, 50, that's 100,000 plus 220,000. That is, let's do the math. That's $320,000. You playing in 3 leagues all year. 3 leagues. $320,000. If you sign this contract, you're making $550,000 average. Ladies, your math ain't mathing. You got alternatives. Yes, you do, for sure. But if you sign this contract, you're not going to have to play over there. I mean, yeah, some of the people that might, some of the players that might be the minimum players, like making like 220, 230, they might want to go play overseas and make an extra 50, 60, 70 grand, right? Top that off, right? I probably would. I'd get a little greedy my damn self. So I get it. So, I mean, so if you think about it, the WNBA deal, that's the best deal that they're going to get in the world in basketball. I mean, you got Project B. I mean, but that's a bird in the bush. That's not a bird in the hand. They still, they hadn't even played their first game yet. You still got to wait for that, right? And in 3 years, you'll be able to renegotiate from a stronger position, right? That's smart leverage. Okay. So let's be real about this. If the players strike or the owners lock out, the players going to lose more. I mean, the owners lose, but they're billionaires. They're going to be all right. They're going to be all right. If they own a stadium, I mean, they could change that into an office building, change that into a mall, make it into a mega church. I mean, concert venue. You know what I mean? Change it to a 501c3. Get some, make it a facility for kids. I mean, they can do all kind of stuff. Turn it into a theater, movie theater, whatever. You know what I mean? These are billionaires. You know what I mean? They know how to make money. If I got land and I got property and I got a building, I could do something with that. Right? So yeah, they're not gonna lose, not like how the ladies think they're gonna lose, right? But the women, they're gonna lose pay. They're gonna lose that opportunity to make their first million. They're gonna lose benefits. They're gonna lose timing. And some of them, they're gonna lose roster spots. They're gonna lose their roster spot. A lot of them are gonna do that, right? So the owners will survive. The players, they're gonna struggle, right? Now, for me, this is I understand that this is the players, first rodeo, and they gambling around like veterans, and that's dangerous, right? That's like winning big in Vegas. You up $1 million, you should walk away, but you feel hot, so you stay. One more bad hand, one more bad spin, and you lose it all, right? And that's what's happening. They keep gambling, you're gonna mess around and lose it all. Some of y'all gonna lose it all. Y'all are, man. I'm trying to tell you, man. Don't let them ladies, that's doing the negotiations for you play out your money now. Don't do that. Tell me, get your hands out your pocket. Get your hands out my pocket. Stop playing with me. I mean, hey, I can sign a 3-year deal and make $1.6 million. 4-year deal, make $2 million. I'm on that. I'm on that. So this moment will define the league's future, right? And many careers. Let's keep it real. Not with emotion, but with math. Not with slogans, but with strategy. The truth hurts, but decisions, especially bad ones, they last longer. This is the Racer. I said what I said. Be blessed.